Our presenter today works with business owners and their teams to elevate their performance so they can better serve their clients, their potential clients, their employees, and their communities. This is especially useful now. The landscape has shifted, and being a leader for your business, for your families, and for your community has never been more called for. Today, he will be sharing with us some strategies for doing that. He lives in Temecula with his amazing wife, Peg, and his teenage sons, Seth and Daniel. He is a partner at Effective Action Consulting, a leader in transformational consulting. He founded TEDx Temecula in 2012, now preparing for their 9th annual conference. He's a distinguished Toastmaster and a 10-year member of the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome Jim McLaughlin.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. That's fine. Settle down. It's fun having fun with these Zoom meetings. I'm pretending there's a standing ovation even. Oh my gosh. Well, I haven't even gotten started. Well, thank you, Brooke, and thanks to the Temecula Chamber of Commerce for putting on this series so that we can all learn and grow during this time of change, right? And so it's my privilege, my pleasure to share with you some of the tools, the techniques, the strategies that I use with my clients, and I'm using in my own life right now because I'm dealing with change as well, as of course we all are, and to give you a leg up, to give you an access to having things go the way you want them to go. It may sound weird, right? But you have an intention, you have a desire. And the program is called Being a Leader in Uncertain Times. And one of the questions that often comes up is, well, what is it to be a leader? What does it mean? What does leader and leadership mean? And in the introduction, Brooke mentioned, well, you can be a leader in your family, you're a leader in your community, you're a leader of your business, and you're a leader of your own life, or a leader in your own life, should you choose to be. You could be the leader of your own life. And many times that's called for, and many times we can throttle back a little bit and let other people lead. I was really struck, as most of us were probably around the same time, early in March, when I think the first thing that I heard was that really got me was that the NBA was canceling their season. My son told me that. I thought, wow, that's a big deal. And then I think the next day, all of the other sports organizations were canceling. And I started to get this sense of the shutting down of the economy, if you will. And it was a little bit frightening, right? So, because, the economy, I still have scars from the last slowdown. I'm not ready to go through another one. I still haven't recovered fully. So it was very, it was alarming. It concerned me greatly. And when I looked around, I saw, what inspired me was the opportunity, or not the opportunity, but what inspired me was sort of the need for leadership. And I don't mean the president or the governor or, various agencies, but your leadership, all of our individual leadership, because people are unsure about what's going to happen. I like to say that people are looking for leadership. They don't know that they're looking for leadership, but they respond to it. Everybody wants to know that everything is going to be okay. If not know it, like have that feeling, like, oh, okay, we're going to get through this. Everything's going to be okay. And then they can kind of, get back to work, back to the tasks at hand of caring for others. Because one of the things that happens when we're caught up in our own concerns is our world starts to shrink. Perhaps you've noticed that if you've ever been, of course you have been, but I recognize it when I've been ill. You probably notice it when you've been ill. It really becomes all about you, and dealing with it. And maybe for some of us more than others. I know I'm a big baby when I get sick. So it's all about, I'm mad, I'm upset. Well, I don't have time for this and all of that. But the world kind of contracts. So when we look out for opportunities to lead, or at least that's what I saw, that's when things really started to open up for me. So I want to walk you through 3 key areas of where and how to be a leader or to elevate your leadership in areas that are important to you. So that's really the first place I want to start is like, look for yourself. What does it mean to be a leader? What is a leader? Often we look at leadership as, we look at leaders from the past, because sometimes the leaders of today aren't noticed yet because their accomplishments haven't been fully realized. You know, back in the middle of the civil rights movement, I was too young to know much about it, but Martin Luther King Jr. probably, or for some he was a leader, but his legacy is what we refer back to him after all these years as being a leader in the civil rights movement. And Gandhi's another great example of that as well. And there is no coincidence. They're both particular kind of leader, like the nonviolence component. Let me share with you. So yeah, be looking for yourself. What is it to be a leader? What is leadership? What is a leader for me? How do I what does leadership look like in my own world, in my family, in my business, for myself, for the community? What does it look like to be a leader? I know it's an abstract question. This is an opportunity for discovery, of looking and seeing what's there. Let me find my pen here. There it is. I'm going to give you a little diagram of one of the ways that I think about leadership. And I share this quite often with my clients, not necessarily in the context of leadership, but really in the context of change. Because that's really, in a large part, what's going on right now is things are changing. The world has changed, perhaps you've noticed. So this is an exercise for you to take a look at something for yourself and see if this maps onto your own perhaps experience of life. Okay, I'm going to draw this circle here and consider that this circle represents your world. I know it's not a perfect circle. Get over it. It's if I can get over it. No, this circle represents your world. So I'm going to put your world, but just put your own name on there. Your world. And this is your world. You operate very well in that world. You're capable in that world. You're successful in that world. Your world isn't perfect. There's things you're still working on, or things that aren't going as well as you'd like them to. But by and large, you're functional, capable. You've mastered that world in large part. How do I know? Because you probably wouldn't be here right now if you hadn't mastered your world. You'd be busy doing something else, or consumed by something else, or you wouldn't be as successful as you are. You wouldn't be, I could go on, right? But just consider that this is your world and that you're very capable in that world. And the reason you're capable, or how you became capable in that world, was from everything that you've learned. What you learned in school, what you learned from your parents, what you learned from the culture in which you were raised, from your religious upbringing. You learn from your experiences. You learn from your successes and from your failures. You learned from the you learn. So you could say that world, your success in that world, is based upon everything that you've come to know. It's all from what you learned in the past, right? And what you continue to learn, and you continue to master your world. So everything in that world, you're successful in that world because that world is known to you, right? It's known to you. I know how to be successful. I know how to drive a car. I know how to speak English. I know how to do my job. I know how to be successful at that. Again, yeah, there's rough spots. There's areas for opportunity and growth, but by and large, you've mastered that. Okay, so the question then becomes, all right, if this is your world, if this is what's known to you, what is all this outside of your world? What would you call that? If this is what's known, what's this? That's right, it's the unknown. I could hear you through the internet, right? That's the unknown. This is what's known, or this is what's known. That's what's unknown, right? And what do you notice about the difference between the known and the unknown? Well, the unknown's a lot bigger, right? There's more that you don't know than there is that you know, right? There's more experiences out there that you haven't had than there are experiences that you've had. But what do you know? What else do you know about the unknown? What is your relationship to the unknown? What is it like to face the unknown? 9 out of 10 people use this word. It's scary. About half of the one that's left, 5%, will say it's opportunity, right? And but 9 out of 10 in my informal polling say that it's scary, right? And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with a lot of unknown, and people are running scared. Perhaps you've had that experience yourself. I certainly have, as I mentioned earlier. But where I work with my clients is, operating in this world is good. It's fine. You're successful in that world. But every once in a while, we have a yearning for something more. And we're navigating around in our world, and we get a glimpse of something outside our world, like an opportunity or like the opportunity to grow our business, or to open a new office, or to bring a new product to market, or to offer a new service. And then, then we encounter something like this perhaps, and then we go back and it comes around again, and I'm just going to put that on the back burner and deal with it later. So I work with people when they're ready to break free of this, or when conditions have changed and it's necessary to be able to navigate in the unknown. The more power you have to navigate in the unknown, not knowing how things are going to turn out, the more power you have in situations like we're dealing with today. Sometimes the unknown is something you cause to happen, and this is the zone of leadership. Right? Leadership is, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Right? Because it wouldn't be leadership if somebody had already paved the way for me, right? That would be following, not leading. Consider that leadership is being able to navigate in the unknown. I have a couple of definitions for leadership I like to use. A leader is someone who has something happen that wasn't going to happen anyway. Right? Like starting a business, right? That was something that wasn't going to happen anyway. It took leadership to get your business up and running. Another aspect is a leader is someone who can be with anyone in any situation, under any circumstances, and still be powerful in the face of that situation. What I mean by powerful, I mean you're able to see what's needed for that situation, unencumbered by whatever there is that may be confronting to you, or scary to you, or unknown to you. Again, the unknown brings about often that kind of an experience. Why is the unknown scary? Why would it be that way, that the unknown is scary? Well, I think it's because nature favors the cautious. Right? If you're wandering around, prehistoric times, and you're hungry and you're on a hunt, you're hungry, you're looking for something to eat, and there's a fruit tree over there. Oh, there's fruit. Maybe I should, no, but I don't recognize that fruit. Well, nature favors the people that say, I'm not going to eat what I don't know, because it might kill me, and then it's over. I can be hungry a little bit longer, and then maybe I'll find something that I do know, and I can eat that. Now, in our day and age, those kinds of scenarios don't happen very often, but the unknown still brings about that kind of an experience, that kind of fear, that kind of avoidance, that kind of hesitation, all of which keep us in the world of the known, staying with where we know. But guess what happened over the last month? We're all thrust into this unknown zone. Everybody all at once, right? And so what do you do when you're in the unknown? I don't know, you might see people do things that don't make any sense, like hoarding toilet paper, right? That's a reaction to what's going on for them, right? Oh my gosh, they're all buying toilet paper. Maybe I should go buy toilet paper too. I wonder how many of that was going on. Somebody may have already discussed that or studied that. Imagine that, studying that, but it's curiosity for me. All right, so this is what we're looking at right now. And for many, like try this on for yourself, just knowing that what's bothering me is that I don't know how it's going to turn out. That can provide some freedom right there. It's like, what's going on? I'm just paralyzed, right? Or I'm concerned. Well, what is that? Well, maybe it's just, I just don't know how it's going to turn out. right? Just labeling your fear can provide some relief to you from it, which then allow you to get back to work. I mean, back to the work of life, whatever needs to be done for yourself, for your family, for your business, for the community, in any area, any context in which you see leadership is needed, where leadership would make a difference, right? Okay. What else did I want to say about that? So continue to look, if you haven't identified them already. Where am I a leader in my life? Where can I be a leader? Where is leadership called for? And that's part of the process we're going to be working through. Let's see, just checking my notes here, make sure I covered anything. So the other thing about this unknown zone is, as I mentioned earlier, it's really unlimited as to what's in the unknown. So what's available to you in an unlimited arena is what? Everything, right? So your ability to navigate in the unknown is going to provide you with things like that you will, and this is what I'll hear clients say to me, is you won't believe what happened. And I think, well, yeah, I will, because this is what happens. It's a surprise to them because it's not in the world of what they know. It's in the world of what they don't know. And that's where the surprises and the miracles and the aha moments happen, is in this area of the unknown. Not exclusively, but you follow me, right? Like, this is where you going after something and having amazing things show up is golden, right? It's powerful. All right, so that's a concept or a conceptual image I want to leave you with, or have you get that, okay, this is my world, this is the world that's known to me, I'm comfortable in this world, and also adding to that, that it's all been taken away from us. We're now in a different world, correct? Now, not everything's different, but enough things are different that it's like being in a new world. And we may never get the old world back. It may never go back to being the way that it was, at least all of it, right? And it's an invitation. This is an invitation to you to take advantage of this opportunity right now. And I'll be going through that as we move forward. Being a leader during uncertain times. And here's a tip. Times are always uncertain. Always. You may not wake up tomorrow. It's not a certainty that you will, but we go through life like the future is certain, like things are laid out for us, that tomorrow is going to be pretty much like today, and next year is going to be pretty much like last year, only a little different, or maybe a lot different, but substantially the same. Now we don't have that. Now it's unknown. It's all been, that future, that what we expect to happen has all been taken away, right? And so the more we can be powerful in the face of that, the more benefit will be to ourselves and those around us. Leaders, the more we'll be leaders. Okay, I'm going to turn that off and go back. Well, just go back to me. Hi. So great. So you being a leader in the various areas of your life, you recognizing that, wow, the future is uncertain, and what do I do with that? How do I be a leader in these uncertain times? Okay, step one, identify your own concerns, right? Like I mentioned before, when you identify, all right, what is really on my, like, what's bothering me? What are my concerns? And you may not have concerns every moment, and this is where this applies to not just now, but any situation you're dealing with that is a call for leadership. Anything that is difficult, anything that you don't already have an answer to how to solve, right? An area where leadership may be required. Thinking outside the box is another way to say that, or getting outside of your comfort zone, or all similar ways of saying getting outside of your world, right? So what is it that is concerning me? What is my concern? So the concern I shared with you a little bit ago was, I'm concerned about the economic slowdown and the impact that's going to have on everyone. Now, that my perspective was not to diminish or invalidate people that are really suffering with the virus. But in my world at the time, the virus was not a concern for me. It's not affecting any of my family members. My concern was the future of my lifestyle, if you will, my family, right? Like my well-being, and what I would have to deal with that I don't want to have to deal with, like, just all the nightmare scenarios that some of you have probably seen or been exposed to. Anyway, that was what was on my mind. So it became, for me, like being ill, like, oh my gosh, it's, you know, it's all about me. Not that it's all about me, but it was very internalized, right? So before we can be leaders in any situation, we got to identify, what am I concerned about here? So a common business scenario is, I have to, you know, reprimand an employee, or I have to, you know, let go of somebody, right? And so that presents a situation of what? I don't know how it's going to turn out. And then what's right there is maybe, and it's not for everybody, but I think you can identify with it. It may not turn out well. Like, I don't know how it's going to turn out, therefore it probably won't turn out well. Now, we don't do this consciously, right? It's below our level of awareness. It's just there. And again, it may not turn out well is that cautious part of our nature of, well, maybe I can deal with that later. And then we end up procrastinating and like that. So identifying your concerns. Oh, I'm just concerned that it won't go well. Okay, well, what can I set that aside? So that's the next step in that. What are my concerns? Get those concerns. Like, what is it really? Because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes it's like there's this dark cloud over it. So it's more like a feeling, but it's all tied up in language, right? There's language to it. There's an actual like sentence and grammar to what it is that you're concerned about. And when you get it, then you can set it aside. I say you can objectify it, like you can hold it out here. Oh, there's my fear of the unknown. Okay, let me just set that aside for a moment and get some clarity. Because when you have your concern between you and what you're dealing with, it's like, you know, it's a barrier. It's like a filter. You don't see the entire situation for what it is. So by identifying and articulating your concerns, your worries, your fears, and just call them concerns to capture that whole world, then I can set it aside. Okay, so that's the first step, is identify your own concerns and set them aside. Next step is to look around, right? So I've set aside my concerns and now I'm looking around. Okay, this is a different world. So imagine waking up one morning and you're not where you thought, you're not where you were when you went to bed the night before. You're in a different bed, you're in a different house. How did I get here? You would start looking around like, what? Now some people might be terrified of that situation, pull the sheets up over their head and think, I must be dreaming, I must be having a nightmare. But imagine yourself in that scenario, just for the sake of this discussion. You'd look around and you'd start to piece together, where in the world, you'd look out the window. Okay, well, there's different foliage out there than there is in my hometown, right? There's ice everywhere, or, you know, you would be curious about that world. You would be learning about that world. Alice in Wonderland comes to mind at the story that I'm not that familiar with, but in light of this, I did a little bit of research, and Alice was a very curious person. She was exploring this new world that made no sense to her. It all began with, oh, look at that. There's a white rabbit over there and he's got a watch. What? So the world made no sense. That part of the world made no sense to her. And then she went down the rabbit hole, and then the whole story unfolded. I'm sure many of you know this story, obviously better than I do. And then these unusual, she began to try and understand that world. So that's the next invitation. That's the invitation to you, is, what is it about this new world? Obviously, okay, there's the coronavirus that's going on, and there's the, you know, the stay-at-home things. I wonder what, and then there's, you know, gosh, it looks like, you know, there's businesses closing down. What about other people that are working at restaurants and this, like looking around and seeing what's going on now, and what are the concerns of others, right? What are the concerns of other people, and why that's important? Because, you know, I see it as, you know, we're in business. For one, if you think of it this way, the most important aspect of your business is that you're serving people. If you weren't providing a service for people, they wouldn't be giving you money to provide that service, right? So we're all providing, and I think most of you probably get that. I'm here to serve, right? It may not be the way that you thought when you were younger, But at some point it becomes about, for me to get what I want, this is the Zig Ziglar quote, right? For me to get everything in life I want, I've got to give other people everything that they want, to be of service to others. Well, you're still going to do that. And so by looking around, you get to discover what there is to discover about this new world, to see where those needs are, because the needs may have changed. When Henry Ford made automobiles affordable, the people that were making buggy whips, probably heard this analogy before, their days were numbered. So that was a disruption. If you're familiar with there's a business term of a disruptive technology, right? The iPhone changed everything, at least in terms of phones. May not be completely disruptive, but it made a real shift. The automobile was a disruptive technology that pulled people away from their horses, right? So if you're in the buggy whip business, you better start finding a new business or make boutique buggy whips, something like that, right? So looking on and seeing what's out there, what does this new world look like? And one of the things that happens to us as we've gotten older, by and large, not for everybody, is that we've forgotten how to discover. We don't remember how to discover. We've become so familiar with the world that we know that there's very little left to discover. And when we venture out of our world, discovery comes with risk, because you may not like what you see. So maybe I'll stay in my world. I'll stay in my comfortable world. And it's fine. I'll be fine, right? It's fine. Maybe there's some things that I'm not going to have, maybe I'll have to put some of my dreams on hold or give them up, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And then you get to the end of your life, and then they put on your tombstone, he was fine. He lived a fine life. It takes something to put yourself at risk, to have a new experience, to have something amazing happen that you were responsible for. Again, going back to leadership is something that you cause. I see things going on in my old chat window over here, and I'm kind of ignoring them because I don't want to get distracted by them. Hopefully I have time at the end that I can answer questions for you and refer to some of the comments. But I was telling Brooke at the beginning, if I veer over there, I'll forget where I was going. Like I just did. So it's looking around and seeing what's out there. Here's something that happened to me in a meeting early last month when I was talking with some of my networking partners. It was again around that time where things really became apparent. We're all thrown out of the world that we know all together in many senses. And he said something like, well, we should not be selling right now. We should not be selling. It would be inappropriate. It's insensitive and all that. And it hit me like, wait a minute, you should never be selling, right? And this is really tying back to the service conversation. You should be providing a service, right? I put this part before I really intended to, but you should never be just selling, right? You're calling people, you're engaging with people to find out what their needs are so that you can be of service. And you're not going to stop doing that. You're still going to be calling and finding out how people are and what their needs are. Whether you can provide that need or not, you're providing service to people. And this is a part of discovering what it is that's out there in this new world that you can make a difference for. And if not directly, you can make a difference for that person by connecting with them with the need that they have. Or connecting with somebody who can provide the need, the service that they have. So the first two tips were to identify your own concerns, like really get clear on that. And that's not always easy to do by yourself. Okay, let me add that part. Because it's below your level of awareness. So this is something I do with my clients. I'd be happy to go through a process like that with you. I'm going to give you my contact information at the end, so you can just call me up or set a time in my schedule with me so we can go into this a little bit more deeply. Identifying your own concerns. So talking with somebody, it doesn't have to be me, it could be somebody else, or journaling on it. I've become a big fan of journaling in the last 6 months, and I have made discoveries just in my journaling. So taking the time to think deeply and focused in on what those things may be. Again, that happens in one-on-one conversations, but it can also happen in journaling, because if you don't set the concern aside, again, it'll be in the way. So identifying your own concerns, looking around, you've woken up into a new world. What is going on here? Wow, I better learn this new world because there may be a new opportunity in this world there may be a new opportunity in this world, period. And I'm out to find it, I guess, is the part of that. I'm interested in finding what that opportunity is for myself and for my communities. Again, not to make it all about you. Okay, identify your own concerns, look around, and then given what you see when you look around, what are you called to do? Okay, what does that mean? What am I called to do? Well, you have this experience of seeing an opportunity, seeing something, looking at the landscape, and being called to do something. So there's a compulsion, there's a desire, whatever, those kinds of words come up for that have you want to actually like take a stand for something. And that's part of this world or part of this distinction of, given what you see, what are you called to do? Again, it's going to take some looking around and some discovery to find out what that is. So you'll see those opportunities. What am I called to do? So I was called, when I looked around, about elevating leadership for the community. Again, from that notion of, when I look around, I see people reacting, and I see them reacting to other people's reactions. That's not good, right? If I'm reacting to what other people's reactions are, that's going to create sort of a chain reaction of, people acting strangely, people maybe not doing things in their own best interest, people not doing things in the community's best interest, right? So then in all of that, what emerged was, I need to call on everybody to be a leader in this time, whatever that looks like, right? That's the stand that I'm taking, is that everybody elevates their own leadership for the people that are around them. And for me, there's an elegance in that. I'm not waiting for Washington to do something, although they have a job to do. I'm not waiting for the governor to do something, although he has a job to do. And I'm not, all the way down to, what is it that I can do? What is it that we can do to serve our community, to have us all not just get through this, but actually, have some areas of our lives and of our businesses be better than they were before. And I don't mean I can now do things on Zoom instead of meeting face to face. That's not very significant. Now, it's nice, it's a shortcut, and maybe I'll start doing some things that way, but it's not a transformation, right? It's not a disruptive technology in a sense. We're still going to meet for coffee, and I can't wait, right? So look at what there is to take a stand for, like what you're called to do. What can I take a stand for? And I'm not, and again, it's looking at, where are you a leader? I'm not asking you to go out and change the world. But if that's what you see to take a stand for, I invite you to do that. I invite you to look at, what is it like to embark on that program, on that course of action. Be willing to take a stand for something. So being willing to is the first step, and then taking the stand is the second step, right? Like, what is there that I could take a stand for? What am I willing to take a stand for? And then that may be where you put that on pause for a moment. And then the next step is, who do I need to be to take that stand? Who do I need to be? This is another discovery. What is called for me to be the person that does that, right? We see people doing heroic acts, right? And other, like, people rushing into burning buildings to save a cat, right? Well, there's something they took on, a way of being that had them do that, right? There was something that they were certainly called to do, and they pulled from within themselves the beingness of, this is for me to do, right? Again, now there may not be an immediate answer. This is, again, a discovery of, given what's going on right now, giving the world that I see, where do I want to make an impact? That's another way to look at, what do I want to take a stand for? Where do I want to make an impact? And many of you got into your business for pretty much that very reason. You wanted to impact something. You wanted to make a difference in a particular area. You took a stand for it, and then you became the person you had to be to go to college or whatever it was, or start a business, or there were hoops to jump through. There were challenges that you had to face to become the person you are today. And this is not much different than that, right? This is a reinvention, right? This is an opportunity to reinvent who you are, or what you're about, or what you're up to, or how you're serving the world now. And even if the world goes back to exactly the way that it was before, what you learn in this process is going to have value for you. Guaranteed. As much as I can guarantee anything, right? You get that, right? So be willing to take a stand. See what there is to take a stand for. Be willing to take a stand for it. Discover who you are and who you are going to be. And in the discovery of that, you might notice gaps. Like, well, I'm not very good at that. Or I've never done that before. Like, I don't know. That's so different from what I'm used to doing. And that's okay. It's identifying where those gaps are and how to fill those gaps. So the three traditional ways of filling gaps, and by gaps, I mean, I don't know how to do that, right? Or I don't know how to be that, right? Like, I don't know how, that is something that I don't feel equipped as a person, right? You could call it, I don't have the courage to do that, or I don't have, that's just not me, right? That may be how it shows up. It's just not like me to do that. I'm shy, I'm an introvert. This is an experience that I had of my former self, and it still shows up from time to time, right? And I've really given up being an introvert in this environment, let me tell you. So what are those gaps? Areas where you don't feel equipped to deal with the situation. And there's three typical ways of filling those gaps. Let me say it a different way. One way you might fill those gaps is by hiring somebody, right? To fill that gap. Somebody that already knows how to do that. Another aspect, or access rather, to filling that gap is learning for yourself. So getting the training that you need. Many people have gotten training, probably all of you have gotten some training on how to use Zoom, right? So now I can do this. Now I'm capable of being in a Zoom meeting, and maybe at some point I'll be capable of hosting a Zoom meeting, right? So looking for where are those gaps. So the three methods for filling gaps, aside of hiring somebody, you may not have that option right now, is training, mentoring, and coaching. Right? Training typically has to do with skills and knowledge, learning a skill, adding to your knowledge. And that's pretty easy to do right now, these days, because everything you ever wanted to know how to do is on the internet, right? On YouTube. So skills and knowledge, training for most things, or for many things, is available. It's easily accessible. So you can get the training that you need. Mentoring. What is mentoring? Mentoring for me is finding somebody that's walked that path before and is willing to help you walk down that path as well. Sharing with you the pitfalls, sharing with you the mistakes that they've made, what to watch out for, what to add, what to learn about. Again, training might fall in that, be something that you learn from a mentor, and also making connections for you in that world that they're in, right? Because they're in a different world and you want to be part of that world. You want to add that element of that world to your own. That makes sense. Excuse me. And then the coaching component. And for me, the coaching component is really the leadership aspect. When you decide, or in circumstances where you decide, I've learned enough, maybe I'm not doing everything that I've learned, and that's often a scenario that comes up for me with my potential clients is, well, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it, right? Okay, great. Well, there's something in the way of that, right? So coaching for me comes in, at least in the way that I think of and approach coaching, is that you're ready to blaze a trail of your own. Right? You've got your own unique mission. You've got your own calling, your own stand in who you are. And there's just being that guide into the unknown that will help you create the pathway to this vision of what it is that you're taking a stand for, the way that you want to serve. Right? So as I mentioned, the discovery process is something we're not very familiar with. So coaching, one of the aspects of coaching is helping you to discover things that, given your own sense of who you are, right, it can be difficult to notice. We don't often notice aspects of ourselves. We're just who we are, right? So a coach can reflect back onto, well, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about that way? What about this or what about that? In shorthand, that's what I'm saying. So looking for where are those gaps and then finding ways to fill those gaps so that you are ready to take that on. And you might do that along the way. You ought to do that along the way, because what you actually need training for, what you actually need coaching for, it may come up in different ways and in different times along your journey. Which brings up the next aspect of it, which is, all right, I've got my calling. I have a sense of maybe I know who I need to be. And again, that is something I'd be happy to work with you on in a phone conversation to help you get a little closer to discovering that for yourself. But what's the plan? Right, part of being in the unknown is I've never been on this road before. I'm in unfamiliar territory. There are no roads, and you get to, as I said, blaze the trail. So having a plan, and here's the thing about plans, especially in situations like this. Well, how do I know if this plan's going to work? You don't. Remember, the future is uncertain. It always has been. It always will be. But you have a vision. You have a direction you want to go. You have the resources available to you, or resources are out there that you can tap into. Creating that plan down to so that it gets down to what do I need to do today to get to that. It's that, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If you've ever heard that before. Well, what that means is you've broken it down into, well, what do I need to do to get started? Okay, so having that plan in place will get you in motion. So the parts of this third section that I'm talking about, given what you see, what are you called to do? What do you see? What am I willing to explore? It may not even be that clear to you yet, right? But again, in getting on that road and going down that road, things will start to look different. The worst thing you can do is stand still, because the view never changes when you're standing still. But when you take one step, the view changes slightly, and you take another step, it changes a little bit more. You see things that you weren't able to see before because you were back here standing still. Okay, so that's where the plan part of it comes in. So, what am I willing to take a stand for? That the world is a better place, in some way, in your own special way or your own unique way. Let me put it that way. Who do I need to be? Like, what is a way of being that is needed of me in this situation? Well, certainly some courage. It probably helps out everybody in the area of being in the unknown and being with scary situations, or that sense of, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Looking for the gaps, identifying how to fill those gaps, and having a plan to get moving forward. And that's also where a mentor or a coach can help you with the sort of the accountability portion, or tell me what you're going to do this week, or an accountability partner that could help out as well. All of these things are something that are useful for you on thriving or coming out of this, if not thriving, at least with something new, some new way to operate your business in a way that is going to be adaptable, or not adaptable, but applicable. That's the word, to the current world and the current situation. Let's see. That's those are the basic three things, or the three areas I want you to focus on, is identifying your own concerns, setting them aside, so that your attention is not pulled towards your own internal concerns, looking around and identifying what the concerns are of others, looking for where service is needed. It may not be in the places that it has been. There are certainly new needs out there. There are new areas have opened up in which to serve people. And if you're staying in what those won't be visible to you. They'll be visible to your competition that decides to take that route. So if you're in competition with other people in your field, have that be a motivator for you. The people that get out in front of this, or the people that are looking for the innovation, are gonna do better, are gonna be ahead of the game from now on, right? Until the next disruptive technology or disruption to our environment comes along, as it will. And that's why these leadership principles are so important, because this will happen on a large scale or a small scale at some point in the future. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit I do have an I put together a program, or I am putting together a program where we can work on these things in over time in a weekly or biweekly basis. I'm still putting it together, but I just want to, and I'm not prepared to give it to you here, but I do want you to reach out to me if this is something that you'd like to work on, and hopefully you'll be in touch in other ways that you'll know about it, even if you don't reach out to me. It's really about reinventing your business, or taking a look at reinventing your business, taking a look at what does this disruption make available to me? Where's the opportunity in this? And then how do I get that going? So here's the thing that I saw beyond just looking out and seeing where leadership is available is how I'm now going to be pricing my work, right? Before, everything had a particular price, and that's what it cost. And of course, there are situations where I would make exceptions. And so I'm expanding that into, I'm going to have a set, like a price, like a value on it. And you're just going to pay what you want to pay. Let me put a little bit of a condition on that. Well, why would I pay anything? Well, the reason is because you got to have some skin in the game. Now, you know that if you don't have any skin in the game, it's not going to make much of a difference. Right? You can come to workshops and you've done this, and you go and you come away with a little tip or technique, but you didn't have any skin in the game to make sure that it happened. Right? So you get to decide what the skin in the game is. That's my pivot for the new world that we're living in, because I don't want to exclude people, especially now, from really pushing their leadership ability, for pushing them into new frontiers, for having them be more capable in the unknown zone, right? Because again, the future is uncertain. It always has been. It's just now it's up in our face, right? Or it's in our face on those occasions in our normal world, and we just don't have any power in those environments. Like when we have to confront somebody because we're so, we don't want to look bad, or we don't want to make people upset, right? Well, generally, I mean, maybe not across the board, or across all situations for you, but you've probably had a sense of that might get in your way from time to time. And I'm not advocating being mean to people, but there's work to be done, right? And you have a mission, and your business is up to something. You're up to something, and sometimes we let things get in the way of that. That's what I have. If you, here's how to get in touch with me. And I know Brooke said she's going to send this information out, but if you want to get a jump start on that and just write this down anyway, here it is. So the company's Effective Action Consulting. If you go to calendly.com/Jim McLaughlin, you can set up a Zoom meeting with me right there. All the times that I have available. I'll get an email. The Zoom link will already be in there, and we can connect this way. Or you can call me on the telephone, or of course you can email me. But make a note of that, and I'm available to you. Well, as my calendar allows, right? And I really invite you to open up what's possible for yourself in your business. I know a lot of people out there are just looking for the answer, and that's mostly what human beings are looking for. And in many situations in life, there just are no answers. There's having a direction to go, and then taking that next step, and then taking that next step and seeing how the view changes from there. Okay. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you again to Brooke and the Chamber for setting this up. And it looks like I have a couple minutes here. Is there anything in the chat that I should talk to? Have you been monitoring the chat, Brooke?
Yes, and I don't see any questions right
now. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, we've got 4 or 5 minutes here. I'd love to address them. Okay, how about you, Brooke? Do you have any questions? I'll put you on the spot again.
I know. Well, as a leader, we set the tone for our team. What are some ways to stay positive so it trickles down to staff right now? Okay, so ask me that question again, because for a moment I thought you were going to go in a different direction. Took me out. What are some ways we can stay positive so it trickles down to our staff right now, since we set the tone? Okay, great. Okay.
Staying positive. How do we stay positive? Okay, well, part of that is, all right, what are my concerns? Like, what is having me not be positive, right? What is in the way of me being positive? Okay, I'm worried, I'm concerned. Okay, what am I concerned about? And this is the discovery. You know, I used to be a geologist, and so I think of mining, right? You're looking for the payload, like the gold, right? The mother lode. And when you discover what that is, well, here's an example. People often say, well, I'm afraid of rejection. Okay, well, that's really high level. You really need to dig down into what is it about rejection that you're afraid of, right? Or what is it about, like, what's actually are you afraid of doing, and what are you actually afraid that the outcome might be? I don't want to take it too far off track, but you know, for some, it's just a matter of, oh, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Like, really? For me, when it comes up that way to me, when I drill down, this happened to me recently with a challenge, and I thought, I'm just afraid to take a risk. And I thought, wow, really? No, I'm not. That's not who I am, that I'm afraid to take a risk. And so it was easy to set that aside and then take action. So identifying, like, what is really going on with me? Yeah, I don't know how it's going to go. Well, I never know how it's going to go. And this is why I brought in, it's always uncertain. And so if that can give you like allow you to set that aside, and then you can be there and identify the concerns of others. You can listen for the concerns of others, because most people, when they have the concerns, it's just like you having a concern. Your world gets small, right? You're concerned with really your own survival at some level, or the survival of the lifestyle that you have, right? And your concern is all interior. So being positive is letting go of that, even if only for a few moments, right? To raise the needle. And also I would add that with your team, like, acknowledge that I've got my own concerns as well. Here's what I'm concerned about. Because they may look at you and go, they're different, right? They're special. I don't know. They have this opinion of you that when you authentically articulate, yeah, this is what I'm concerned about. And then that allows connection to happen between the two of you, or between the group. You've seen this happen where somebody lets their guard down, they're, you know, vulnerable, or however we describe that, and we connect with them on a deeper level. And then people go, oh, thank God it's not just me. I thought I was the only one. Right? And you're not the only one. We're all, you know, we all have our own concerns, even in the best of times. And so the more we can listen for the concerns of others, once we've got our own out of the way, we can really be there for people. We can hear them. And we may not be able to do anything about that concern, but just listening to people and saying, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I have that concern too. If that's what's there to say. You don't have to fix it. You just have to, like, get it. And then is there any way I can support you?
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, we do have a question. Let's see. Okay, it looks like more like a comment. They took a lot of notes, especially the idea of identifying your concerns, and instead of just reacting, set it aside. Pause and drill down to clarify it, and look for creative solutions or different paths. That was very helpful.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Someone else did say, change is scary. They love the comment you made about leaders are there to navigate into the unknown. That was very impactful.
Great. Well, this there's obviously, what am I trying to say? So this has only been an hour, right? And so there's only so much that's been we can accomplish in an hour, and much of it is kind of at a high level. Now, if I was in a room with people, I might actually, you know, drill down into some things, especially if there was more time available, so that could be made more real for others. And that's why I'm inviting people to reach out to me. I will be providing information on what that program looks like and how it might work for you to be involved in that, so that we really can get into the nuts and bolts of it. But But if you really, you know, took notes, or and particularly if you saw something that you could then act on, that's a key component. If you saw, oh, I could do this, then keep that in mind and act on that. And that, like I said before, you take one step, the view changes slightly, and then you see something you didn't see before, and then you can take that next step.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jim. We appreciate you speaking today so much. And there will be a copy of this video, so we can send that out to everybody.
Brooke, thank you so much. It was really, I really had a great time, even though it was just me, but I could, there's people out there. So
Yes.
it's very different than just talking to the wall. So, so thank you all for your psychic attention.
Thank you so much, Jim.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.